It is not up to Washington to teach us how to engage in talks or question our good faith during the negotiating process.
We have the following issue. On October 18th, during the briefing, the Domplet said that nothing in Russia's actions indicates a desire to negotiate in good faith. I beg your pardon, what negotiations? So this is a quote. So what negotiations? We are negotiating not in good faith. So we have the question, how can you comment on such a statement? If you are talking about are we negotiations not in good faith, it is needed to clarify which negotiations. And so they need to identify the elements of dialogue. So if we do not maintain dialogue in the way it should be, so someone during the briefing referred to the joint Iranian nuclear deal. And the implementation in good faith by the United States. From the very beginning, since the year 2000, Bolton said that Iran should be bombed, should be attacked. Then they added that should act by force. Then they started negotiating. Then they started to participate in this deal. And then them themselves withdrew without any procedural measures. They said that they do not know anything about this, and then they came back to this deal. And then when negotiations were formed on the basis of equal rights between participants, so they started to interfere in the domestic affairs of Iran to push forward their decisions this way. So I'm talking about the United States, and after that, they complain about someone's ability to negotiate. We have a lot of examples. For example, for climate. So they have a dialogue or they refuse to participate in this dialogue. So what negotiations are you talking about? On the situation in Ukraine, I would like to remind that back then they flagrantly violated their commitment not to expand NATO. They denied Russia's security concerns. Now the United States are blackmailing the Asian, Latin America and the Middle East countries by making them join illegitimate sanctions against Russia. So that's how they lead their negotiations, maintain negotiations. They don't have even moral right to profess morality to us, because all their methods, they are known. Double standards, lies, hypocrisy, and as well as manipulations. Everybody knows inability to negotiate in the context of the Kiev regime. Its inability to negotiate and to implement the achieved agreements became obvious to everyone. I would like to recall in brief, the Kiev regime was created by the United States by anti-constitutional coup d'etat in 2014. The opposition bloc dismantled the agreement with the legitimate authorities. As you remember, there were negotiations at the beginning of 2014 between the government authorities. It was Yanukovych and the opposition with Yatsenyuk. Everything was destroyed. Then they concluded through negotiations the Minsk agreements. And throughout 8 years, the Kiev leaders, in violation of these Minsk agreements, bombed Donbass and sabotaged negotiations to implement the Minsk agreements. Right now, they recognized they did not even intend to implement these agreements. After the beginning of the special military operation, the Kiev regime initiated another negotiations, but in a month they disrupted it, following the order by Washington. So are there any doubts on their ability to negotiate? Russia, throughout 8 years, has been a mediator between Minsk and Donbass. We responded positively to participate on the neutrality status of Ukraine, and Kiev just disrupted such negotiations. We were always open for these negotiations. You will never find, never, that we refused to anyone in negotiations, even taking into account unreasonable reactions of other international community. All these pretexts, all with these references, we always responded, gave a positive response. But today, the Ukrainian authorities fixed, as they said, said that these negotiations won't be possible, and this was an official decree by Zelensky. You've heard about this. And that's why Washington is pumping Ukraine with weapons by spending billions of dollars and leading to bloodshed, not with desire to use diplomacy as a kind of ideal solution. So it's not Washington who should teach us how to conduct negotiations and not to question any ability to negotiate by anyone. So that's why it's not Russia, but the United States, the Kiev regime, must demonstrate their ability and readiness for negotiations in good faith and for the implementation of their agreements. As for the United States, they should demonstrate this willingness at other platforms. So right now, I don't see any readiness or eagerness from the United States for these negotiations.
Thanks for watching. If you like our info, subscribe to channel and watch the next video.